Good afternoon. I'm Under Sheriff Keith Allen with the Sedgwick County Sheriff's Office. We are here today to provide an update regarding the alert investigation into the officer-involved shooting that occurred on Wednesday. Before we begin, I'd like to introduce Captain Matthew Lynch, who is serving as the Alert Investigation Incident Commander. As Incident Commander, Captain Lynch is responsible for managing and overseeing the entire investigation. He has full authority over alert operations and is tasked with providing clear guidance and direction throughout this process. At this time, I'll turn it over to Captain Lynch.
Good afternoon. I'll be providing an update regarding the officer-involved shooting that occurred on Wednesday, April 1st, 2026, being investigated under the alert protocol. Let me begin by explaining the responsibilities of the Advanced Law Enforcement Response Team, known as ALERT. ALERT's a combined effort consisting of detectives with the Sedgwick County Sheriff's Office and the Wichita Police Department, and they're charged with investigating these types of significant incidents. It's important to note ALERT is tasked with conducting a thorough criminal investigation. Their role is to gather facts and present them to the district attorney for legal review. ALERT does not conduct administrative reviews related to department policy, nor does the team make determinations about whether officers followed proper procedures or their internal protocols. As part of this agreement, ALERT was activated and the Sheriff's Office assumed responsibility for investigating the officer-involved shooting. The information I'm about to share is based on interviews, emergency radio traffic, body-worn camera footage, and the ongoing investigative process being conducted by the ALERT team members. For reference, the maps on the screen show the area I'll be discussing today, including the location of where the incident or the shooting occurred. On the upper left map, if you look at the street across the top, the large main thoroughfare, that's Harry Street. On the kind of right center of the map, there's a north-south thoroughfare, that's Webb Road. The incident occurred to the lower left on the upper map, and then the lower right map is a much more detailed map of exactly where the incident occurred, which is marked with the red bubble. On the morning of April 1st, around 9 a.m., officers with the Wichita Police Department and deputies with the United States Marshal Service followed up on information that 45-year-old Benjamin David Board had an active Sedgwick County warrant for 8 counts of sexual exploitation of a child and was located at an apartment in the 9200 block of East Harry. The warrant stemmed from charges associated with a Kansas Bureau of Investigation case, and the charges were filed in that matter on December 30th, 2025 in the 18th Judicial District Court under case number SG 2025 CR 002545, and a warrant for Mr. Board was issued the same day. This team that was out in the area on the 1st also had information that Board had told others he intended to shoot it out with police and that he could be armed with a pellet gun and a 9mm handgun. All the times in the following timeline are approximate as they come from multiple sources. At 11:57 a.m., Board and an acquaintance were seen leaving the apartment being watched by the team and headed south into a residential neighborhood near Harry Street and Webb Road. Board was riding an electric scooter alongside the other individual who was on foot. The Kansas Highway Patrol Air Support Unit provided overhead support, while the Wichita Police Department SWAT officers operating in an unmarked vehicle moved into the neighborhood to attempt an arrest. At 12:03 p.m., officers located Board and the other individual at Mount Vernon and Cypress in the neighborhood. At 12:04 p.m., both individuals began traveling southbound on Cypress. Approximately 11 seconds later, the two separated and Board continued on the electric scooter traveling southwesterly direction along Cypress Street. At 12:04 and 35 seconds, in the area where Cypress curves into Cherry Creek Drive, the SWAT officers pulled alongside Board on the scooter near Cherry Creek Drive in Linden. He began to increase his speed on the scooter. 3 seconds later, at 12:04 and 38 seconds, one of the SWAT officers announced out the side of the unmarked vehicle, "Police, police, police, stop, stop, you're under arrest." Board continued onto the scooter into a front yard and then abandoned the scooter and ran on foot a short distance where he appeared to stumble and fall to the ground. Immediately after falling, at 12:04 and 42 seconds, Board reached to his waistband with his right hand and pulled a loaded .380 caliber handgun and pointed it at the SWAT officer. At 12:04 and 43 seconds, the officer fired his handgun, striking Board multiple times. Almost immediately, other officers and additional team members arrived and rendered aid while Sedgwick County EMS and Wichita Fire Department members responded to the scene. Those units arrived at 12:11 p.m. and assumed patient care, but despite life-saving efforts, Board was pronounced deceased at 12:25 p.m. If you continue focusing on the screen, we have two videos to show you. The first one is at full speed from the officer's body-worn camera, and the second one will be the same video slowed down to 50% speed.
Police! 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 Stop! Stop! You're under arrest! Don't do it!
If you pay close attention on this video and the following still shots, you can see the officer's left hand reach out and grab the firearm in the suspect's right hand that's holding the gun. You can see the suspect's hand is on the gun and his finger is clearly in the trigger guard on the trigger. And we can play this again at the conclusion if you need us to. At this time, we can share the further additional details that the shooting involved a single officer who fired a total of 8 times. Board was unable to fire his gun, which was found to be a semi-automatic Smith & Wesson .380 caliber M&P. The gun that Board possessed had 1 round in the chamber and 7 additional rounds in the magazine. Board's acquaintance, who had left him while they were traveling through the neighborhood, was located near the scene. He was interviewed as a witness and then arrested on charges unrelated to this investigation or Board's warrant. This is a picture of the handgun that Board possessed. That's all we have information-wise, if anybody has any questions.
The vehicle the police got out of, that was an unmarked vehicle?
Correct.
And that front yard he was in was not a house affiliated with him, acquaintance, anything, just kind of a random front yard during this chase?
Correct. As Board rides his scooter kind of down Cherry Creek Drive, and the officers approach on the street and start yelling, "Police, police, police." They share eye contact at one point, and he starts to veer to the right and goes up, basically up the approach on the driveway and into the yard.
Do you know how long they've been working on the case prior to Wednesday's deal?
As far as how long people had been looking for Board, back in February, the sheriff's office warrant section had issued a felon of the day for Board that we put out online. So ever since that warrant dropped, people have been looking for him. That particular day, they had set up on that information that morning.
And then the chief, WPD chief, said there was some tip that was led to whereabouts. Is that true?
Correct. There had been 2 tips received overnight.
Okay, and that's from some public person? Or?
Presumably, it's an anonymous tip. I don't know exactly where it came from.
And just to clarify, you said the acquaintance that Board was with arrested on charges unrelated to any of that, right?
Yes.
Are you able to talk about just the quick actions by the officers, just so things didn't escalate to a shootout or whatever?
Correct.
If you're able to talk about that?
A little bit, I think. As you can see from the video, especially when you slow it down, the officer is engaged with the person. To say they were, I think, 1 foot apart would be a misrepresentation. They were hands-on with each other. He was trying to take him into custody when Board produced the handgun. So there really was no option other than what he took when Board pulled the handgun and pointed it at him. He didn't have time or distance on his side.
think that's good.
Okay, thank you.